The women of the suffrage movement were incredibly brave, unbelievably persistent, and absolutely unwilling to take no for an answer. And they got no, and no, and no, and no, and no.
The women of the suffrage movement were tenacious, they were courageous. They were women who were fighting against a system where everything was stacked against them. They really were told to sit down and shut up, but that is not what they were going to do.
If I were to describe them in one word, I would say fearless. They 100% were willing to take on this massive American institution that was men in politics.
The women of the suffrage movement had a degree of courage and optimism that is something that should be a model to all of us. We stand on their shoulders, and we have to recognize that we have people standing on ours as well, and would that we could draw upon their courage, their optimism, their determination, that they would succeed.
I do see myself in those characteristics. I believe I am determined, I am persistent, and I am ready to make a change in this world.
I think for anybody who wants to move the needle on rights and opportunities for people in this country, even a country that describes itself and embraces the fact that it's a democracy, you have to be willing to fight. You have to be willing to take those rights. You have to be willing to stand up and argue for those rights for yourself and for other people.
The fight for equality, for the right to vote, was 72 years long. It wasn't a short fight, and it wasn't one that many who started knew that they were going to be able to finish. But they did it anyway because they knew the importance to future women, to me, to my granddaughters one day, to the people who will come behind us.
I think they believed that in their core, that no matter what circumstance that they were in, that their voices should and would carry the power to be able to change things.
I think the word stubborn is a very gendered word, but I have learned to embrace it. I think that the women of the suffragist movement were extremely stubborn and refused to yield, and that is extremely important in how I see myself.
Oh, I'm definitely tenacious, like the women who were in the suffrage movement. I really am going to make my point. I'm really going to insist that justice be done. I'm going to speak up. I'm not going to let somebody tell me that blue is red and red is blue.
I think persistence and resilience is something I see in myself. Others might describe it as being pig-headed and not giving up. So I'm not sure it's always described in a positive way, but I don't mind.
I really believe those women paved the way for us to have our own voice. They spoke up, and I think they spoke up on behalf of us so that we would be able to have our own voice in this era.